Let me ask you something. Why do you feel this burning need to explain yourself to the world? Why do you think everyone deserves to know your next move, your love story, your pain or your struggle? Stop right now. Because in a world that thrives on gossip and judgment, privacy is your superpower. And today I'm going to tell you the 7 secrets you must guard like gold. Because not everyone clapping for you wants you to win. When you're planning your next move, whether it's a career shift, a relationship decision, a personal transformation, or a financial step, you must understand one thing. Not everyone deserves the blueprint to your empire. You have to stop telling people every little detail about what you're about to do. Because the moment you announce your plan, you invite not just opinions, but doubts, energy blocks, jealousy, and invisible resistance. You ever notice how the minute you tell someone, I'm planning to start my own business, suddenly everyone becomes an expert? Oh, really, in this economy? Are you sure you can handle that? Isn't that risky? Suddenly their fears become your fears. Their doubts plant seeds in your soil. Think about a chess player. Do you ever see them announcing their next move before making it? No. They study, they focus, they observe. Then, checkmate. Real players don't talk, they move. And when they move, they shake the table. You know why silence is so powerful? Because it protects you from sabotage, intentional or unintentional. Because it allows you to grow in peace, not under pressure. Imagine you're working on yourself. You started waking up at 5 a.m., going to the gym, eating clean, meditating. But you start posting every single step on social media. Look at me, day 3 of workout, green juice again, manifesting millionaire energy. You're not doing it for you anymore. Now, you're doing it for applause. And the moment no one claps, you stop. That's the trap. You see, power lies in momentum, not validation. Don't chase eyes. Chase elevation. Even in relationships, if you're talking to someone new, building something sacred, why let the world peek in through the window? How's it going with him? You guys still talking? That's pressure. That's noise. The more people know, the more energy interferes. And sometimes all it takes is one jealous heart or one careless word to disrupt something beautiful. Same goes for success. You're saving money to buy your dream car or home, but instead of quietly stacking your coins, you're out here saying, I'll get that Audi by next year. I'm going to move to that posh apartment. You're declaring goals to people who are secretly hoping you never make it. Why give them front row seats to a show they never believed in? Let me give you a personal example. There was a girl who wanted to leave her 9 to 5 and pursue acting. She told her office colleagues, her cousins, her entire mohalla. Guess what she heard back? Acting? Hein? Ari? 1 in a million chance hata hai. Tu hale mange khe? You'll come back in 6 months begging for this job again. That girl felt so disheartened, she paused her dream for 2 years. But the moment she stopped talking and started working in silence, acting classes, auditions, networking, everything started aligning. 1 year later, she landed her first role in a web series. And the best part, none of them saw it coming because silence is the real power move. Silence is where the magic builds. A baby is formed in the darkness of the womb. A seed breaks open under the weight of soil. A diamond forms under pressure deep inside the earth. None of that is visible. All of it is powerful. You don't need to explain, announce, or perform. You just need to become. So the next time someone says, what are you planning these days? Smile and say, you'll see. There's a reason why love stories fade when too many people have access to them. Your relationship is not a public event. It's not a performance. It's not an Instagram reel that needs to go viral. It's a sacred space between two souls trying to figure it out in a world full of noise. And the more you let people in, the more you risk losing the essence of what you're building. A relationship thrives on privacy, not secrecy. But there's a difference. Secrecy is hiding your partner because you're ashamed. Privacy is protecting the bond because it's precious. You don't hang your gold chain on the front gate, right? You keep it close to your skin. That's how you protect what you value. So why are you putting your heart on public display? You tell your friend, he surprised me with flowers today, and the first reaction isn't joy. It's comparison. Wow, my boyfriend never does that. Or worse, must be guilty of something. Now, your beautiful moment is colored by someone else's broken lens. Or let's say you're going through a fight. You went to 5 people, each one gives their opinion. Leave him. He's toxic, you deserve better. Now instead of listening to your heart, you're carrying 5 conflicting energies in your mind. You're not healing, you're performing crowdsourced therapy. Imagine this, a couple starts dating. It's fresh, raw, exciting. But every dinner, every hug, every quote is posted online. My person. Together forever. But within months, the pressure of being perfect online starts suffocating the real bond. Arguments happen, insecurities grow, but now they can't even break up without becoming gossip. That's not love, that's a show. And real love is not for entertainment. True intimacy is built in silence. It's in stolen glances, not selfies. It's in quiet support, not public declarations. It's in holding hands under the table, not flaunting hands for likes. You don't need to update people about every call, every gift, every milestone. Let them wonder, let them guess. Because what they don't know, they can't ruin. And not everyone around you is rooting for your love. Some are just waiting to see it fall. Here's something to remember. When you involve too many voices in your relationship, you start listening less to each other. You stop asking, are you okay? And start wondering, what would people say if they knew we were struggling? That's how distance grows in inches. Until it becomes silence. And this doesn't mean you don't share at all. But be selective. Share with people who want to see you happy, not just entertain. Because some people don't love your love, they love your drama. And the moment there's a crack, they'll pour poison into it and call it advice. Have you ever seen those couples who never post, never talk about each other publicly, and yet they last for years? It's because they water their garden in private. No one's stepping on their soil. No one's throwing stones at their glass house. Remember the girl who used to post everything about her boyfriend, from breakfast dates to bedtime texts? They broke up. Now every memory is on her feed. Every moment they shared is a digital wound. She has to delete her past just to breathe again. Love should be your soft place, not your social statement. You don't have to prove your relationship is real. If it's real, it'll prove itself. Let the world see your growth, your glow, your greatness. But guard your heart. Because in a world that loves to consume stories, yours doesn't have to be on the menu. Your income is a reflection of your worth. But more importantly, it's a reflection of the value you place on your own privacy and power. The minute you start letting others in on how much you make or how much you're saving, you give away your sense of financial sovereignty. People will either envy it, question it, or worse, feel entitled to it. You see, when you make your income public knowledge, it's like giving someone a key to your treasure chest and asking them to take what they want. Let me tell you a little story. A young woman worked tirelessly for years to build a business from the ground up. She stayed up late, learned the tricks of her trade, and invested in herself every chance she got. She was proud of her journey. But every time she told her family how successful she was getting, they had a comment to make. You don't need to work so hard. You've already made so much. Or why are you so obsessed with making more? You're doing fine. These comments, although sometimes wrapped in concern, slowly started chipping away at her enthusiasm. The more she shared, the more she found herself justifying her success to people who didn't understand her drive. And slowly she began to doubt herself. Why? Because she allowed their opinions to contaminate her peace. She didn't realize that success is personal. Your wealth, whether it's financial or spiritual, isn't something you need to explain to anyone. If you've worked hard, taken the risks, and invested your time, energy, and soul, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to display your salary on a billboard. You don't need to walk around showing off your earnings. Or worse, constantly trying to convince people that you deserve what you've got. You've earned it, and that's enough. There's something powerful about letting your success speak for itself. Look at the richest people in the world. Do they broadcast their income or tell you how much they made last month? No, they let their businesses do the talking. Their assets, their investments, their projects speak volumes. They don't need to keep explaining why they deserve to have the life they live. They work in silence. They grow in silence. And most importantly, they protect their financial peace in silence. And let's talk about comparison for a moment. How many times have you heard someone talk about how much money they make and instantly felt like you're not doing enough? How many times have you been at a gathering where someone brags about their salary or the new house they bought, and it makes you feel insecure, like you're not measuring up? This is the danger of oversharing your income. You open yourself up to comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy. You might have heard of people who win big and then lose it all because they let the praise and jealousy of others dictate their action. They get caught up in the "I need to prove I'm worthy" mindset. They start living beyond their means, buying things to show off, to keep up with the Joneses. And then when the hype fades, they are left with nothing but debt and regret. You don't want that life. Protect your financial freedom by keeping your income close to your chest. Build your wealth steadily, silently, and let it accumulate in peace. When you make money your secret weapon, it becomes a silent force that no one can touch. It grows because you've cultivated it privately. Take the example of people who work hard to save every penny, invest wisely, and then quietly walk into the life of luxury they've created for themselves. They didn't need to announce it. They didn't need to show it off. Their financial decisions were made with precision, focus, and most importantly, privacy. Think about the person who's constantly telling everyone about their side hustle. I'm making extra income from this new venture. I've got my investments. I'm selling this. The noise is endless. But in reality, the moment you share too much about how you're making money, you open yourself to unsolicited advice, unwanted opinions, and unnecessary pressure. If you want to keep growing financially, focus on the quiet hustle. Build your empire behind the scenes. Let the world find out only when you're ready to reveal the fruits of your labor. Success is about being steady, about quietly going after what you want without having to explain why you deserve it. Your wealth is your business. If you choose to share it, let it be with those who genuinely support you, those who will help you build, not tear you down. And remember, the less you talk about how much you're making, the more powerful your presence becomes. Your income is your crown. Keep it on your head, not for everyone to admire. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them wonder how you shine. Because in the end, your success is meant for you, not for display. Family issues. They're the silent storm that brews in the background, sometimes loud, sometimes subtle, but always present. And the thing is, people expect you to talk about them. They expect you to explain why you're distant, why you don't attend every family gathering, why your relationship with certain family members isn't as close as everyone thinks it should be. But here's the thing. Not everyone deserves to be part of your family drama. Not everyone needs to know the details of your personal life. There's power in protecting your peace and privacy when it comes to family matters. You ever had that one family member who's always asking, why don't you talk to your cousin anymore? Or why don't you visit your parents more often? These questions feel like a probe into something that you're still trying to figure out yourself. And the more you try to explain, the more it feels like the weight of your family's expectations is crushing you. But here's the hard truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you navigate your relationships, not even if they're family. Think about it. You've had your fair share of arguments, misunderstandings, and hurt feelings with those closest to you. But just because you're blood doesn't mean you have to keep every part of your life open for critique and judgment. Sometimes the more you share with the world, the more you give them permission to offer unsolicited advice, or worse, create more drama. The less you explain, the more you protect your emotional health. And it's okay to set boundaries, even with your own family. Take, for example, the story of a woman who, despite her successful career, constantly faced pressure from her family to get married. They couldn't understand why she wasn't prioritizing finding a partner. Every phone call, every visit was filled with comments like, "You're getting older, when will you settle down?" Or, "You'll regret not having a family of your own." They didn't understand her journey, her dreams, or her personal choice to focus on herself for once. She didn't owe them an explanation. But for years she tried to justify herself, which only led to more frustration, more guilt, and more confusion. Eventually she learned the most important lesson of all. You don't owe an explanation to anyone. Not when it comes to your personal happiness, your career, your life choices. Your family loves you, but that doesn't mean they always understand you. Their love can sometimes feel like a suffocating force, one that drags you down with expectations and assumptions that don't fit into your life. And so you find yourself trying to explain, trying to please, trying to live up to what they think your life should be, but in the process, you lose the very essence of who you are. The more you explain, the less they understand. The more you bend to their demands, the more you get lost in the version of yourself that they want, not the one you're trying to create. You know that feeling when you feel misunderstood by the people you care about most? That inner battle that says, I love them, but they just don't get me. Well, that's because they can't. And it's not their fault. You see, their lives are shaped by their own experiences, their own beliefs, and their own perceptions. They are doing the best they can with what they know. But your life is shaped by your experiences, your choices, your dreams. You're walking a different path, and that's okay. Not everyone has to walk that same road with you. So when family starts questioning your choices, questioning your decisions, questioning your boundaries, it's okay to say, this is my life, and I'm going to live it the way I see fit. That doesn't mean you don't love them. That doesn't mean you don't care. It simply means that you are honoring yourself first. You are understanding that to truly love your family, you must also love yourself enough to protect your peace, your decisions, and your journey. Here's the thing. You don't have to explain the things that are meant to be understood over time. Your personal growth, your mistakes, your evolution, those are things that will speak for themselves. If someone doesn't get it today, they might understand tomorrow. And if they don't, that's their journey, not yours. You are not responsible for anyone else's understanding of your life. You are only responsible for living it the best way you know how. In the end, family issues are a part of life. We all have them. But it's important to recognize that you are the keeper of your peace. You are the one who decides how much of your personal life is shared and with whom. You get to set the boundaries that protect your well-being. And it's okay to do that. Not everyone is meant to be part of every chapter of your story, especially when it comes to matters of the heart and soul. The less you explain, the more you protect, the more you set boundaries, the stronger you become. And that, my friend, is the ultimate form of self-love. Your weaknesses are not something to hide, something to run from, or something to be ashamed of. In fact, they are some of your greatest strengths if you learn how to embrace them. People often spend their lives trying to mask their weaknesses, hoping no one sees them, thinking that these flaws will define them. But here's the truth. Your weaknesses are not what make you weak. They're what make you human. They are the raw, real parts of yourself that once understood and accepted can catapult you to places you never thought possible. Think about someone you admire, someone who seems to have it all figured out. Maybe it's a successful entrepreneur, a world-renowned artist, or someone who's made a huge impact in their community. If you ever sat down with them and had an honest conversation, you'd be surprised to hear how they've faced their own weaknesses. Every successful person has at one point or another had to confront their vulnerabilities. These are the very things that help them build resilience. Take the story of a woman I know. She was always the perfectionist, the type of person who needed everything to be in order, who didn't allow herself to fail. But behind that image of perfection was a deep insecurity that made her fear judgment. She was terrified of being seen as anything less than flawless. She couldn't stand the thought of someone discovering her flaws. But life, as it always does, has a way of showing us exactly what we need to learn. Her company hit a rough patch, the numbers weren't adding up, and suddenly the perfect image she'd built for herself began to crack. People around her started noticing her stress, her inability to hold it all together. And instead of retreating further into herself, she did something brave. She allowed herself to be seen. She admitted that she didn't have it all figured out, that she was struggling. She took the time to reflect on her weaknesses and decided to learn from them. She let go of the pressure to be perfect. And guess what happened? People started rallying around her. Her vulnerability didn't break her, it actually gave her the strength to connect with people in ways she never had before. Another example is of a man who spent years of his life hiding his self-doubt. He was a quiet, reserved person, always questioning his worth and abilities. In public, he put on a brave face. But at night, when the lights were out and the silence crept in, he struggled with imposter syndrome, constantly feeling like he didn't belong. It wasn't until he started sharing his doubts with a close friend that things began to shift. He realized that these feelings of inadequacy were not unique to him, they were universal. Everyone has them. By simply acknowledging them, he was able to take the power away from them. Instead of hiding from his insecurities, he leaned into them. He used them to fuel his growth. He knew that in order to overcome self-doubt, he had to stop fighting it and start understanding it. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up even when you're scared. Your weaknesses are the training ground for your strength. Every single one of us has been through tough times. Loss, rejection, failures, mistakes. These experiences are not something to be ashamed of. They are your greatest teachers. It's easy to get caught up in what we wish we were or where we think we should be, but real power comes from accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. The moment you accept your weaknesses, they no longer have power over you. You stop running from them and you start using them as fuel to propel you forward. The truth is, you cannot reach the highest heights if you're not willing to face your lowest moments. Look at any great leader, any person who's truly made an impact, and you'll find a story of struggle. Their journey wasn't about being perfect. It was about learning from every setback, every obstacle, and turning those so-called weaknesses into stepping stones. They weren't afraid to fail, they weren't afraid to be vulnerable, and most importantly, they weren't afraid to face their fears head on. In fact, weaknesses often contain within them the key to your greatest strengths. For example, someone who has struggled with anxiety might learn to develop remarkable coping strategies, becoming incredibly resilient and empathetic in the process. A person who has battled with self-esteem issues may grow to be one of the most compassionate, kind-hearted individuals because they understand the pain of feeling less than. A person who has struggled with rejection may become a master at perseverance, knowing how to keep going when the world tells them to stop. So, embrace your weaknesses. Wear them like a badge of honor because they are a testament to your resilience, your courage, and your unwavering determination to grow. You don't need to hide from them and you don't need to let them define you. Let them teach you, let them mold you, and let them show you just how powerful you can be when you stop running and start embracing your true, imperfect self. Acts of kindness are powerful, transformative, and often underrated. In a world where everyone is caught up in their own struggles, it's easy to forget that small gestures of kindness can change someone's entire day or even their life. We live in a fast-paced society that glorifies success, achievement, and the pursuit of personal goals. But in the midst of all the hustle, we must remember that the true measure of our lives is not the wealth we accumulate or the titles we earn, but the lives we touch and the kindness we show. Consider the simple act of helping a stranger. Imagine you're at a grocery store and the elderly woman ahead of you is struggling to carry her heavy bag. You could ignore her as many would, but instead you offer a helping hand. That small gesture doesn't just make her day easier, it may restore her faith in humanity. That moment of kindness, something so small to you, could be a significant turning point for someone who has felt lonely or unseen. And while you may never know the depth of the impact of your kindness, it doesn't diminish its power. Every act of kindness plants a seed. And that seed has the potential to bloom into something far greater than you can imagine. Take the story of a man who had been struggling with depression for years. He kept it all hidden behind a mask, showing the world his happy face, but inside he felt empty. One day while walking through the park, he noticed a homeless man sitting alone on a bench. Something about the way the man sat there, isolated, lost, struck a chord with him. Without thinking, he walked up to the man, offered him a sandwich, and struck up a conversation. The simple act of kindness opened up a floodgate of emotion for both of them. The homeless man, who had not spoken to anyone in days, shared his story, and the man listened without judgment. That conversation didn't solve any problems, but it created a connection that helped both of them feel less alone. The man walked away from that encounter with a renewed sense of purpose and an understanding that his own struggles weren't so isolating after all. That one act of kindness reminded him of the power of human connection and the difference we can make in each other's lives. Sometimes we think that kindness needs to be grand. We think it needs to be some major life-changing act, like donating millions or volunteering. But kindness doesn't need to be big to be impactful. The truth is, kindness is woven into the small moments that make up our days. The way you smile at a colleague who is having a tough day. The time you take to listen to a friend's problems without interrupting. The random compliment you give someone who looks like they need it. These everyday acts of kindness accumulate over time, and they have a ripple effect that we often never see, but always feel. Think about a mother who stays up late to comfort her child after a nightmare, or a friend who texts you just to check in when you're going through a rough patch. These moments may seem ordinary, but they're extraordinary in their ability to show love, compassion, and care. When you show kindness to others, you are not just helping them feel better in that moment. You are teaching them how to be kind to others as well. It's a cycle, a chain of goodwill that spreads far beyond what we can even comprehend. There's a story of a woman who, every morning, stops by a local coffee shop on her way to work. She's always polite, always smiling, but one day, she notices the barista seems off. He's not his usual upbeat self. She doesn't let it go unnoticed. She asks if he's okay. And they start a conversation. The barista, feeling vulnerable, admits that he's been going through a rough time at home. Without hesitation, she hands him an extra tip and says, "I hope today gets better for you." It was a simple exchange, but for him, it was the kindness he needed to turn his day around. Sometimes the smallest gestures have the most profound impacts. It's not about how much you give, it's about how much love you put into that gesture. And what's truly powerful is that kindness is contagious. When you show kindness to others, it encourages them to pass it on. It creates a cycle of positivity that spreads, changing the atmosphere around you. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is kind, where people support each other, lift each other up, and lend a hand when needed. That's the world we should strive to create. And it starts with each of us. It starts with those small, everyday acts of kindness that remind others that they matter, that they are seen and valued. In every aspect of life, kindness has the power to transform. It can heal wounds that time may not be able to mend, and it can build bridges that distance cannot break. Never underestimate the power of a smile, a kind word, or a listening ear. The world may seem harsh and chaotic, but you have the ability to change the course of someone's day, or even their life, by being kind. Kindness is the language that transcends barriers. It is the force that connects us all, no matter where we come from, what we've been through, or who we are. And it's something we all have the power to give every single day. Your spiritual life is the core of who you are. It's the foundation that supports every aspect of your existence. But it is also one of the most misunderstood and overlooked parts of life. In today's world, we are often caught up in the chase for material success, external validation, and personal achievements. We forget that the true purpose of life lies not in what we accumulate, but in how we connect with the deeper unseen forces that govern the universe. Your spiritual life is not about adhering to a specific set of rules or labels. It's about tuning into your inner self, aligning with a higher purpose, and embracing the beauty of being alive in a way that transcends the mundane. Consider the story of a woman who had everything: a successful career, a beautiful family, and all the luxuries one could desire. Yet she felt empty, disconnected, as if something fundamental was missing. She was constantly tired, constantly stressed, constantly striving for more, yet never feeling truly fulfilled. One day, during a moment of introspection, she asked herself a simple question: what am I really living for? It was in that moment of quiet reflection that she realized the missing piece of her life wasn't more success or possessions. It was a deeper connection to her spiritual self. She began to explore meditation, prayer, and spending more time in nature, just listening to the world around her. Slowly, as she started nurturing her spiritual side, she felt a shift. She was still doing all the things she loved, but now her actions were infused with meaning, with purpose, with a sense of peace that had eluded her before. Your spiritual life doesn't have to be grand or flashy. It can begin in the smallest of moments. Maybe it's the stillness you find in the quiet of the morning before the world demands your attention. Maybe it's in the way you take a few deep breaths and reconnect with your soul after a long day. Spirituality is not about finding a destination. It's about the journey. It's about learning to be present in the moment and finding peace in the now. It's in the way you approach every aspect of your life, knowing that there's more to existence than meets the eye. Think of someone you know who seems to radiate peace and calm. They're not perfect, they don't have it all together, but they have this quiet assurance about them that everything will be okay. It's not because they have all the answers, it's because they have faith. They trust in something greater than themselves, and that trust gives them the strength to handle life's challenges with grace. They may not talk about their spiritual life often, but it's evident in how they live. They don't need external validation because they are grounded in their own sense of purpose. They are connected to the divine, to the universe, to the source of all things. And that connection gives them power. Your spiritual life is your compass. It's the guiding force that helps you navigate through life's storms. When everything feels chaotic, when the weight of the world is on your shoulders, your spirituality can provide clarity. It's the inner voice that tells you to keep going, to trust the process, to have faith even when the path is unclear. The strength you need to move forward in life doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within. It comes from your spiritual connection to the divine energy that flows through everything. There's a man who, after going through a series of personal tragedies, found himself questioning the meaning of life. He had lost his job, his relationship had fallen apart, and he felt completely lost. One day in his darkest hour, he walked into a church, sat in silence, and just allowed himself to be still. He didn't pray for anything specific. He didn't ask for answers. He just sat. And in that stillness, he felt something shift. It was as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He realized that for all the pain he had experienced, he had never truly allowed himself to connect with something bigger than himself. That moment of silence in the church sparked a journey of spiritual awakening. He began to meditate, read spiritual texts, and reflect on his inner self. Over time, he found peace and healing in his connection to the divine. His external circumstances didn't change overnight, but he changed. And with that change came a profound sense of peace and acceptance. Spirituality is not a destination. It is a continuous journey, a path of growth, learning, and transformation. It's about aligning with the higher purpose of your life, even when you don't fully understand what that purpose is. It's about trusting that the universe has a plan for you, even when things seem uncertain. It's about knowing that you are part of something much bigger than yourself, and that your life has meaning beyond the daily grind. The power of spirituality lies in its ability to transform you from the inside out. When you nurture your spiritual life, you begin to see the world through a different lens. You begin to understand that everything, every challenge, every setback, every triumph is part of the greater plan for your life. You become more compassionate, more patient, more at peace. You begin to see the divine in everything, the people around you, the beauty of nature, the kindness of strangers. Your spiritual life brings clarity, peace, and purpose to your everyday existence. And when you live from this place, everything else falls into alignment. As we stand on the threshold of greatness, it's essential to realize that the power to shape our destiny lies within us. The world is a reflection of our inner strength, our commitment, and the energy we put into everything we do. It's not about how many times we fall, but how many times we rise. Life is a journey, one filled with obstacles, triumphs, setbacks, and victories. But it is not these external factors that define us. It's our ability to tap into the deeper, unwavering force within. The key to transforming your reality, to becoming the person you are destined to be, lies in the choices you make in every single moment. And let me remind you, the moment you choose to believe in yourself, everything shifts. Look at the people who have achieved extraordinary things in life. The visionaries, the trailblazers, the change makers, they all share one common thread. They dared to dream beyond their circumstances, beyond the limitations others imposed on them. They embraced their struggles, not as barriers, but as lessons, as stepping stones that took them closer to their purpose. These individuals didn't let fear control them. Instead, they used it as fuel to propel themselves forward. When they faced the unknown, they didn't shrink back, they moved forward with faith, with determination, and with an unwavering belief in their potential. You are no different. You have within you an unshakable strength, a fire that cannot be extinguished. You have the power to shape your destiny and to rise above every challenge. Don't let the doubts of others or the fears that arise in your own mind hold you back. Remember, the greatest achievements come from the moments when you step outside your comfort zone, when you do what others say is impossible. The world's greatest leaders, innovators, and creators were once told they couldn't do it. They were once told they weren't good enough. But they chose to ignore those voices and instead they trusted in their own. When the world says, no, you can't, you have to say, yes, I can. And not just once, but every single day in every single action. It's about showing up for yourself, no matter the circumstances. It's about believing that the best version of yourself is already within you, waiting to break free. The truth is, the only limitations you have are the ones you place on yourself. Break free from them. Don't let fear keep you small. Rise above it. You are capable of things you never thought possible. And when you step into your true power, you will astonish yourself. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of happiness. You are worthy of love, of abundance, and of peace. Never let anyone or anything tell you otherwise. Remember, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Every setback you face is just another opportunity to grow. Every failure is just a lesson in disguise, teaching you resilience, teaching you strength, teaching you that the only way to truly fail is to stop trying. It's not about how fast you reach the top, but about how you handle the climb. It's not about avoiding the storm, but about how you weather it. This is your life. You are the author of your own story. You hold the pen. And you get to write every chapter. No one else gets to decide your worth or your potential. The opinions of others, they don't matter. What matters is how you see yourself, how you choose to show up in the world. The world is waiting for you to take the first step, to show it what you are made of. Don't hold back. Don't wait for the right time, because the right time is now. The right time is always now. You have everything you need within you to create the life of your dreams. Remember this. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by your actions, by your courage, and by your ability to move forward despite the odds. So rise up, take action, and step into your greatness. The world is yours for the taking. You are destined for extraordinary things. Never forget that. Never settle for anything less than the life you were meant to live. You are powerful. You are limitless. You are unstoppable. The journey has just begun. Now go and make it count.